バイナリスターの岡本と申します。これよりですね、ビジネスブロックチェーンエキスポ2020、冬開催いたします。担当いたします。バイナリスターの岡本です。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。まず先にですね、ビジネスブロックチェーンエキスポとはというこちらの概要をお話しさせていただきます。ビジネスブロックチェーンエキスポとは、国内外のブロックチェーン事業者と日本の産業をつなぐビジネスマッチングイベントです。本日は以下の3つの情報を配信いたします。1つ目、ブロックチェーンの最新情報。今日は特に De-Fi サービス、分散型金融と呼ばれる領域について、海外のトッププレイヤーをお招きしておりますので、そちらの方々からお話しいただきます。2つ目、ブロックチェーン活用の効果。特に金融、製造物流、エネルギー、データセンター、デジタル証券、こちらの5つの領域に関してですね、ブロックチェーンを活用することで何ができるのか、どんな効果があるのか、なぜそのようなことを実現できるのか、そして、なぜブロックチェーンの事業を進めているのかといった各登壇企業ごとのビジョンだったり、創業背景、どんなサービスを展開していきたいのかというようなお話を具体的にお話しいただきます。3つ目、経営者の DX。DX の本質とは、そして DX 文脈でのブロックチェーンの意味合い。アフターコロナにおいて DX という言葉がバズワード、そしてバズワードだけでなく、本質的にですね、企業の必須命題になってきております。たくさんのセミナーで DX に関して多く語られていますが、ほとんどは視点が低くて根本的な解決策、もしくは企業の競争力向上につながっていません。DX の本質を考えれば考えるほど、こういった内容をというような、本日はご提案、そして DX の本質を強力に提唱する企画をご用意しております。特にパネルディスカッション、本日は一橋大学名誉教授の米倉氏を招いたパネルディスカッションがありますので、そちらぜひお見逃しないようご視聴ください。ご質問、ご不明点に関して、ぜひツイッターでハッシュタグ BS をつけて発信いただくか、もしくは YouTube ライブ上のコメント欄にテキストを送信いただき、そちらに対して私たち主催者側ですね、拾っていきたいと思います。お願いします。ビジネスマッチングを謳っておりますが、ではどういうふうに行うのか、YouTube の概要欄から登壇企業へ直接連絡いただけるように、Google スプレッドシートのリンクを貼り付けております。登壇者情報を各社まとめておりますので、タイムスケジュールとトークテーマ合わせて、この企業気になったな、この企業の話もう少し聞いてみたいというところがありましたら、ぜひ直接ご連絡いただければと思います。最後にですね、アンケート調査のお願いをさせてください。アンケート調査。この調査は技術の活用にあたって企業が直面する課題について学術的に検証すること、およびブロックチェーン技術の活用にあたって業界を横断する課題を明らかにして解決策を模索することを目的としています。ぜひこちらのアンケート、概要欄の先頭に URL を貼っております。もしくはこちらのQR コードもご利用いただいてアンケート調査、視聴後、もしくは視聴のタイミングでも構いませんので、気になるところ、視聴がこれでアンケート入力しようかなというようなタイミングでやっていただけると非常に幸いです。はい、大変遅くなってしまいましたが、これより本編に入っていきたいと思います。早速、登壇者の紹介に行きます。最初の登壇者、ムーンステーク。トークテーマはステーキングから DeFi への接続を加速です。それではご視聴ください。
おはようございます。Hello again. My name is Lawrence. I'm the CEO at Moonscape.io. And today I'm very happy and excited to be able to be here in the DeFi section to share about about Moonscape, about the staking as a service and wallet solution that we provide, and more importantly, about DeFi. So before I continue, allow me to present some slides because I think it will be easier and clearer that way. So here we go. All right, so accelerating connection from staking to DeFi will be a topic that Moonscape.io will be presenting. But not only that, as mentioned, we are very happy to be here at the Business Blockchain Expo organized by BINARYSTAR, Japan's largest blockchain incubation hub. We're also very privileged to be able to sponsor the Decentralized Finance DeFi session, which will serve as a gateway to introduce prominent DeFi projects to you. In the DeFi section, we have industrial experts at the forefront of the industry, such as MakerDAO, Neo Flamingo, Ruby Capital, Centrality, Zilliqa, RockX, Alfie blockchain. So there will be a wide range of discussions, especially on what the Japan market can expect. But before we go any further, definitely I will need to share about the staking trend and why I use Curve 18 to 2020, because I think Curve 18 was when the mass market adoption came in after the all-time high in Curve 17. So I think it will be a good gauge for these 3 years. The reason why I choose October 31st as a snapshot instance between the year to year is just October 31st is the end of 3 quarters, and having one single instance will be a very good reference for the market movement and the staking market cap on a year to year basis. So as you can see, and October 31st, Curve 18, the staking market was 7.09% of the global market. And then in Curve 19, the staking market dropped. As you can see, the activity rate also dropped quite a lot compared to Curve 18. And so in Curve 19, it was 5.14%, which is quite obvious in a sense because we all remember Curve 19 as a crypto winter or year, where a lot of ICO projects, a lot of alternative tokens drop out of the radar, price values become almost close to zero, and investors choose to go back to the major coins like blockchain, is BTC, Ethereum, EOS, or stable coins such as USDT. And interestingly enough, even through the winter, the global market still grew by 20.77% on a year-to-year comparison. And this year has just been amazing. We just seen an all-time high BTC price. And even at October, the staking market was 7.97%, which means we recovered from the Curve 19 winter and even increased by 1%. But not only so, the global market grew by 65.37%, which is incredible. So definitely the general trend is that not only has there been a surge in the interest and amount in staking, something really interesting is the lot assets, like the assets put into staking pools or in longer term holdings, is actually has increased by more than twofold, which brings to show that users and investors believe in the blockchain security. They are willing to acquire these digital assets, the cryptocurrencies, and are willing to put into staking pools in order to get the rewards. So definitely for the staking trend for Q1, I think, like in Q1, we see layer 1 protocols such as Tezos and Cosmos. And then in Q19, we see layer 2 solutions such as Matic and Loom. Definitely proof of stake since Q15 has been transiting from Genesis implementation to growth. Not only so this year, with the surge in interest, not only in the current proof of stake projects, but also in the new DeFi projects. Definitely this year has been a very important moment, not only for proof of stake, but for the future of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So in 2021, for example, with the launch of Ethereum 2.0, signifying the technical maturation of token-powered projects or networks, especially since even Ethereum 2.0 has proof of stake functionality. We are seeing the industry leaving the Wild West years and entering a chapter of actual use cases and utility, and hopefully, users will be acquiring more of such proof of stake coins and putting them into staking pools because they believe in these protocols, they believe in the actual use cases, and are willing to get the returns from staking them. So what about DeFi in the staking ecosystem? So the DeFi industry this year has been really interesting. I think no one really expected such a surge, but as you can see, from in December 2018, leading towards the end of October, definitely there was a surge, especially in August all the way to now. And even at 31st October, the total value locked through staking through DeFi projects and protocols was around $11 billion. So definitely, the future of DeFi looks very promising. You have established blockchain networks joining the DeFi movement. For example, EOS with EOS DT and Ethereum with Ethereum 2.0 that includes a staking upgrade. Not only so, we have tier 1 exchanges launching DeFi products and services, such as Coinbase with its wallet that can connect to DeFiX, and Binance with its DeFi staking functionality. So definitely, DeFi will look even better next year, and there are 3 main ways to earn staking returns. One is of course platform fees, for example, transaction fees. You can also earn interest by lending the assets you have, or you can stake them or do yield farming or hold the assets to gain token rewards. And that's why Moonscape is accelerating the connection from staking to DeFi. We have successfully closed our seed round funding with around $1.04 million. It's about approximately Japan yen 110 million. This was led by our partner venture firm Ruby Capital as the lead investors. And we also have nailed down partnerships with prominent companies in the DeFi ecosystem. For example, with Ruby Capital and RAM DeFi, in order to take the next step for DeFi integration and expansion of the DeFi ecosystem. We also have a partnership with Infinito Wallet, a world-leading universal wallet, in order to enhance the staking ecosystem and scale DeFi projects further. So apart from that, what have been happening with Moonscape? So for example, one of our biggest achievements so far is we hit the highest amount of $97 million within 3 months. And we could not have done so without, for example, key partnerships with major blockchain projects, like Ambogo, one of Cardano's constitutional corporations, Tezos Ventures, Tezos-centric blockchain startup Compagnitor, supported by Tezos Foundations, Centrality, a New Zealand's blockchain giant, and Neo could drive staking innovation and adoptions. We're always constantly having more partners and even institutional clients who is using our staking as a service or wallet solution in order to drive the industry and the De-Fi ecosystem. We also have regional partners such as OIO, a capitalist-listed Singapore-based company, which announced its entry into blockchain industry and forged a strategic alliance with leading Asian blockchain companies like Moonscape. Of course, definitely our alliance with BINARYSTAR, the biggest blockchain business hub, and promoting blockchain businesses to companies throughout Japan and East Asia. We're also very proud to be members of associations such as Singapore FinTech Association, a platform designed to facilitate collaborations between participants and stakeholders in the FinTech ecosystem, with about 50 MOUs with associations and government bodies around the world, and a domestic network of 360 plus FinTech companies and industrial partners and global network in more than 32 countries. We also have inside the Blockchain Association Singapore, which is set up to facilitate collaboration between all market participants and stakeholders in the blockchain ecosystem. Of course, our main product is a mobile app that you can download on the App Store and Google Play. Through the Moonscape mobile wallet, you can store more than 2,000 coins and tokens that we support for easy management of crypto assets. And you can use the wallet to safely participate in the staking pools while having a private key you hold only to yourself. Of course, in case you need to do something fast or you prefer a web browser, you can always use our web wallet, which has the same functionality that you can use the staking pool through a web browser. And currently we support the Japanese, Korean, and English language. And we also support staking to AGA, Tezos, Cosmos, Ecology, Quantum, IrisNet, Harmony, and we'll always be continuing to add in new features. For example, connections to more DeFi projects in the future. And of course, because there has been growing demand in Asia and especially in Japan, we do have customer support in wiki and customer support page in Japanese, and we have a native Japanese operation team. So if you have any concerns and questions, you can always contact us at support@moonscape.io or message us by Twitter @moonscape. We will be here for you. So in case some of you might not be familiar with Moonscape as a company and the people inside, allow me to briefly introduce ourselves. Our vision is, of course, to realize the full potential of the blockchain technology because the senior management and operation team has been in this industry for a few years. And our mission is to build the Asia's biggest staking network because we do have industrial experts, we do have partnerships with prominent projects and companies. And we believe that staking is one of the features that will be very important, especially for DeFi. So the operation team, Kazuka-san is the brainchild and founder of Moonscape. He is also the CEO of CTIA that has offices in Switzerland and Japan. So since 2013, he has been focusing on promoting blockchain within existing business structures and facilitating development with government and businesses. Mr. Chia is the CEO of Switchnovate, a fintech consultancy firm, and he's also the founding president of Singapore FinTech Association. And as a chief strategy officer, he brings 2 decades of experience in the financial and technology industry. Mr. Hui is the director of Moonscape. He was self-taught in programming and started an application development company in 2009. In 2017, he was appointed director and COO of a startup specializing in business development using blockchain. As for myself, I'm a digital marketing professional with background in programming and has been in the tech industry for over 10 years. I was one of the Huobi Global's early employees, later becoming the head of global business operations in Singapore. After that, I became the COO and co-founder of ZipMat's cryptocurrency exchange that has expanded in Southeast Asia and have licenses in like countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Australia, and Singapore. We also have highly recognized experts in industry. For example, consultancies, Mr. Nizam, which is experienced with MAS, with government regulations. We have a RAM Defy, a Defy project. We have support from Ruby Capital in funds and investments and insights into the DeFi industry. We have support from seasoned veterans in projects like Mr. Aaron from Centrality, Mr. Gallen from Harmony, and Liz, who have a coverage of the current happenings in the blockchain industry and projects. And of course, even though DeFi has been very interesting and fast-paced, but it's also been very new. So a lot of people are still unaware of what exactly is DeFi and how to come into this ecosystem. So we've been holding a lot of webinars with industrial experts through our partner network. And that's it. So thank you for having me. And I think 2021 will be a very exciting year, especially in Japan, be it for DeFi or be it for cryptocurrencies, since we are seeing an all-time high and we will ride the wave further. Hopefully next year with the COVID-19 situation stabilizing, and hopefully with a vaccine, I'll be able to meet you face to face. And till then, have a good end of the year and let's have a great year ahead. Thank you. ありがとうございます。
はい。ムーンステーキングから DeFi への接続を加速。こちら、まず最初にご視聴いただきました。早速、続いての登壇者に、行きたいと思います。続いての登壇者は、メーカー DAO。トークテーマは、メーカー DAO とDAI、分散型金融の背景です。それでは、ご視聴ください。
Today, I'm going to talk about how DAI work and the underlying stablecoin system works. I will share with you how it enables an open financial ecosystem that companies and organizations such as yours can leverage to create business and social value today. Let me first start by introducing myself. I'm Kathleen Chu, Japan lead for the Maker Foundation. I joined Maker in March 2019 and have been involved with blockchain since 2017. I have more than 15 years of experience in journalism, and I'm also the co-founder of Yasashi DeFi, a study group that meets once a month to learn about DeFi. I spent most of my career as a journalist with Bloomberg, and during my time covering the financial market, I have noticed that there's a disconnect between the financial market and the regular individuals. That is the case, especially in Japan, where half of the household assets are in cash and deposits. That means even individuals in the developed countries like Japan, with one of the biggest economies, are left out from the financial market. Not to even mention about those individuals in the smaller economies. That is why I became interested in blockchain and specifically DeFi or decentralized finance. because I believe that it has the potential to help address, if not solve, some of these issues. In the next 15 minutes or so, I would like to go over how MakerDAO is reinventing an open financial ecosystem to make it accessible to everyone. At the same time, ensuring the liquidity and the flexibility are in the control of individuals. I would like to introduce you to MakerDAO, go over how DAI and Maker Protocol works, also share with you how DeFi can be utilized by businesses today. Lastly, I will share with you briefly about our views on the Japanese market. First, let me introduce MakerDAO. MakerDAO consists of Maker Protocol and Maker Community. Maker Protocol include smart contracts, stablecoin DAI, Vault. So basically anything that sits on top of Ethereum to help provide a store of value. In regards to Maker Community, it includes active participants in MakerDAO, include MKR holders, developers, DAI users, DAI holders, partners, and the Maker Foundation. MakerDAO is a decentralized organization dedicated to bringing financial stability and transparency to the world economy. Its purpose is to create an inclusive platform for economic empowerment and unlock access to the global financial marketplace for all. MakerDAO enables the generation of DAI, the world's first unbiased currency, and leading decentralized stablecoin. DAI mitigates volatility through an autonomous system of smart contracts called the Maker Protocol, as well as through decentralized community governance. So next, let me explain how DAI works. So DAI is soft-pegged to dollar. And where does the value of DAI come from? DAI is backed by multiple asset types, including Ether. One unique feature about DAI is the DAI savings rate. It is coming from the stability fee that vault owners provide. What is a vault? I will go over more in details in the next slide. Some other properties about DAI is that it is open and transparent. DAI is managed by a DAO-based governance. No single entity controls the protocol. The governance is overseen by the MakerDAO community with a number of stakeholders groups. And finally, DAI brings scalability to DeFi, because without a currency in the space of DeFi, it can't basically prosper or grow, especially last year, over the past year, in such a rapid pace. Also, another important point is that the community is in the process of onboarding real-world assets onto the Maker Protocol. How it works is that vault owners can use these real-world assets as collaterals and draw liquidity by issuing DAI. It has the potential to unlock some of the world's most liquid assets going forward. So basically, building a bridge between the crypto space and the real world assets. So let me talk about how Vault works. So basically how it works is that you lock up your assets as collaterals, and you can borrow against your own assets. And when you're done, you repay DAI back into the DAI stablecoin system, and as well as fees to retrieve the stability fee to retrieve the collaterals. Vault is designed to be over-collateralized, meaning that for every DAI, there's an axis of collateral. I have explained how DAI and a Vault work. Now let us look at how the Maker Protocol works. So here are the core monetary components of the Maker Protocol. On the top, you have a stable coin, which, like a currency, has 3 key functions. There are 1, unit of account used as unit of account, 2, medium of exchange, 3, store of value. Below DAI, you have risk governance, which govern the entire system. The governance community include MKR holders, make decisions on collateral risk parameters, and the governance community also seeks balance between supply and demand. As you can see on the slide, on one side, there's DAI supply. DAI supply is coming from collaterals. Supply is user-generated against users' own assets as collaterals. So when you open a vault by locking up your assets as collaterals and draw DAI from the vault, you create new supply in the system. On the other side, you see DAI demand. It's generated by DAI users who can be individuals as well as businesses. DAI can be used as peer-to-peer transfer, value transfer, remittance, and microfinance loans. Now that we have talked about how the core monetary components of the Maker protocol works, let me summarize some of the key points of the protocol and also highlight some of the participants in the protocol. So by summarizing it, the Maker protocol has no centralized custody. Users lock up their own assets and issue DAI, and when they're ready to pay back, they can withdraw the collaterals. And all functionality of the protocol, so source code and governance, are publicly available and accessible. And business logic can only be changed through decentralized governance, which include box fixes, because code is not always law. It needs adjustment and fixing. The users of the protocol can be human or smart. It can be smart contracts. So to further understand how the Maker protocol works, let us look at the participants in the protocol. On the top, you have MKR holders that oversee decentralized governance. At the bottom, you have keepers who are in charge of liquidation and auctions. They can be, in terms of keepers, they can be both either bots that execute by software code or individuals, humans. And you see on one side, you have end users who use DAI stablecoin, and borrowers on the other side who put their assets as collaterals and draw DAI. Together, the core part of the protocol is formed. Now we have talked about DAI and the Maker protocol. Let me share with you the progress we have made. So far, more than 850 integrations have taken place, and the ecosystem is growing. You can see the bar chart on the right. There are transaction volume of Sai and DAI. Sai is single collateral DAI backed by Ether, and it was first launched in December 2017. About a year ago, we upgraded Sai to DAI, which can be backed by various types of collaterals. And the transactions using DAI has increased exponentially since. So we have gone from about 100 million DAI to 1 billion DAI in a year. Now, let me talk about why DAI is the currency used in DeFi. So DeFi, or decentralized finance, is what I see as how the next generation of finance will look. It has many important properties that are essential for a healthy financial ecosystem. The properties of DeFi include the following. It is immutable and transparent because the transactions are taking place on-chain. They are verifiable. DeFi overall is unbiased. It is open for everyone, everywhere. The accessibility to DeFi is unseen of, if you think about it in terms of the human history. That makes it a very inclusive platform to use. So for DeFi, which can potentially be the future of finance, for it to prosper, you need a durable stablecoin. So let's consider the properties of a durable stablecoin and how DAI fits into that. Remember, we discussed earlier, DAI is backed by different types of collateral, which provides resiliency in the face of market decline or even black swan events. DAI is over-collateralized. The value of the assets backing DAI is always larger than DAI in circulation. And there is also the capability called emergency shutdown. This is the ultimate PAC reinforcement mechanism supported by arbitrages banking on over-collateralization. So if you want to have a durable stablecoin, it has to have the properties of DAI. Let us look at how fast the DeFi has grown. So total value locked in DeFi has grown exponentially as well, just like DAI. It went from $1 billion to $14 billion this year. And Maker is among the top in the DeFi space, ranked by total value locked. And stepping back and putting DAI in context of what decentralization actually means. Decentralization is another word for ecosystem. It's an open and free ecosystem. As a business or an organization can take any part of the money Lego in DeFi and utilize it according to your needs. Let us take a look at a couple of examples. So one on the left is Compound. Compound Finance have utilized DAI as their main stablecoin and created a P2P lending platform. Users can lend and borrow from the platform and earn interest from lending out their crypto assets. Unlike traditional finance, where it is more rigid in terms of design, DeFi gives you the access to various protocols like a toolset that enables you to build something new seamlessly. Another money Lego app is Zerion. Zerion compiles many of the DeFi protocols and make it easy for users by putting everything at one place for users to utilize and track. The role of DAI here is to basically to enhance the stability of the Ethereum ecosystem, because any healthy ecosystem needs a durable stablecoin. So to get a sense of how DAI Lego look, DeFi Legos work. Look, here's a look at different layer of the Ethereum ecosystem. You have Ethereum as the basic layer, and Maker is right on top of that. Each protocol can utilize others and build something new. That is why we see a boost in the number of protocols in this space. I will share with you in the next slide another way to look at how these protocols interact. So Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper was published in 2008. And if you see the Bitcoin white paper as the Big Bang, here is how it looks after a decade. There are various protocols interacting and connecting with each other. that will bring the financial system that we have today to a new level in decades to come. Finally, over the next couple of minutes, I would like to sum up my talk by highlighting some of the key points, as well as sharing about our views on Japan. So let me sum up my talk by highlighting some of the key points. What makes DeFi powerful is that it supports many different use cases because it's an open platform anyone can use. And it empowers anyone to have control and use their own assets in a secure and a transparent way. And Maker, as a decentralized autonomous organization that built the DAI stablecoin system, Maker is an inclusive platform that allows anyone equal access to the global financial marketplace. And DAI is the essential piece of the puzzle to unlock an empowered financial future. Lastly, let me talk about Japan. As mentioned earlier, the Maker Foundation's goal is to bootstrapping the growth of the MakerDAO, and we see a lot of potentials in Japan. It is an important market for us. Based on the way the community in Japan is growing in the DeFi space, we see a lot of interest from the Japanese market. We hope to one day service Japan in the near future when all the legal status is complete. That is something we hope to do in the near future. I hope you find this talk informative. If you are interested in integrating DAI, let us know. Thank you for your time.
はい。2人目の登壇者はメーカー DAO、こちらを聞いていただきました。続いての登壇者に移ります。続いての登壇者はネオフラミンゴ。トークテーマはスマートエコノミーの構築。スマートエコノミー構築の未来、DeFi と Neo3 です。それではご視聴ください。
Hello everyone, this is John from the Neo Blockchain. I'm currently responsible for the Eco Growth Department and the Neo Eco Fund. Today I wanted to share the latest progress of the Neo and our vision for the decentralized finance. Neo is an open source community-driven platform that is leveraging the blockchain technology to realize and optimize the digital world of the future. The Neo mainnet has been go live for 4 years since the launch in 2016. The Neo has some unique technical feature, the DBFD 2.0, Neo VM, the multi-language support. It's including C#, Python, Go, JS, Java. Neo has more than 10 developed communities globally to support the Neo infrastructure, building and lower the entry barrier for the Neo development. Working with various partners, our EcoBoost program provides the full lifecycle support for high potential projects. Neo would love to hear from you and discuss about how the EcoBoost could help. The EcoBoost program was created to stimulate and support the ecosystem developers and project participants. In this process, the multi-resource will be combined to provide the full life cycle support, including the funding, the technical guidance, the marketing assistance, and more. The funding side including the Eco Fund, the developer grants, the smart contract fee subsidies. The tech side including the security auditing, the wallet integrating, the payment gateway, the liquidity solutions. The community side is including the 500,000 community members, the more than 10 global developer communities, the more than 100 dApps growth together. The marketing side is including the social media promotion, the PR resource offline the events. We're also glad to find the new partners in Japan with our EcoBoost project. Earlier this year, Neo had achieved a number of the major milestones. Back in June, we joined the Interwork Alliance, a constituent of the leading industry and the blockchain player as a founding member to develop and promote the digital asset standards. Later this year, we also partnered with blockchain-based service network, BSN, to build the foundation of the mass adoption for a global blockchain network. Those enable us to build our vision of the truly interconnected world. In August, NEO, together with Ontology and Switch, launched the Poly Network, a cutting-edge interoperability protocol. Already, the Poly Network is helping connect the blockchain network ranging from the Ethereum to NEO, Ontology, and the Cosmos SDK-based blockchains. With NEO 3 coming soon, achieving the interoperability with the key networks mark a milestone for NEO as well as the blockchain community. Now NEO is better positioned than ever for the official launch of NEO 3 by the end of 2020. Moreover, NEO's recent development once again shows its commitment to the DEX growth. For a DEX to success, it must support the core assets and provide the sufficient liquidity while delivering a good trading experience. To that end, the NEO has enabled Nash and Switch to leading DEX to grow in terms of the transaction volume. Poly Network is further accelerating the growth of the NEO DEX. On the day it integrated with the Poly Network, the Trade Hub, the Switch cross-chain processed more than the 10 million of the watts in transaction volume on the very first day. Since that start, the NEO has maintained its leading edge by involving its protocol layer. With the NEO 3 set to deliver optimized the performance and the efficiency, NEO is more ready than ever to build the smart economy of tomorrow and the DeFi solution of the future. By leveraging blockchain technology, the decentralized finance represents a new kind of the finance, composable, programmable, objective, fair, and transparent. We strongly believe that the public chain will play a key role by providing the basic financial tools. For example, the Uniswap, the Compound, and the Synthetics have delivered creative innovation to improve the transaction liquidity, the token distribution, and asset tokenization. As demonstrated by recent example, we believe the public platform can provide the three key elements which are instrument to the decentralized finance. The first is asset, a variety of assets for amplified scalability. The second is market, a low friction and a high liquidity market. And the third is money, the stable and well-priced currency as value medium. Showing NEO commitment to DeFi is Flamingo, a DeFi project incubated by the NEO Global Development. Flamingo is a full-stake the DeFi protocol integrating the cross-chain asset gateway, AM-based swap, the synthetic stablecoins, and AM-based the perpetual. As a main part of the NEO DeFi, the infrastructure, the Flamingo builds the NEO ecosystem's DeFi network while also delivering the innovative solutions to challenges the DeFi are facing, such as the friction and the lack of the atomic cross-chain interoperabilities. With Poly Network, the Flamingo became the first financial protocol with the DeFi market to support the multi-chain asset mobility, thus overcoming the single-chain market limitation while delivering amazing efficiency. The limited efficiency and the liquidity due to the fragmented resource and over-globalization. Flamingo became the first DeFi protocol to fully integrate the AM liquidity pool and collateral the asset pool, thus improving the capital use efficiency. A lack of the long-term the sustainable operation and the community participation. To incentive the community participation, Flamingo has distributed the FIM, its project token, to participate based on the contributions while also delivering its value support. With its breakthrough the technology, the Flamingo is delivering optimized user experience by integrating the platform for improved the liquidity, the capital efficiency, and reduce the investor risk. Comprised of the 5 main components, the Flamingo offers the features such as a cross-chain asset gateway, the wrapper, on-chain liquidity exchange swap, vault that integrate the asset management functions such as stablecoin mint and platform token mining, and Perp, AMM-based the perpetual contract trading platform. Flamingo has made several breakthroughs in terms of optimizing the user journey, integrating the platform liquidity, improving the capital efficiency, and lowering the investor risk as compared to the cross-product model adopted by the current DeFi program. That being said, the NEO's DeFi infrastructure will not stopping at the Flamingo. From the lending to insurance and index the funds, the potential is limitless, and we encourage the NEO community to join us in building the NEO's DeFi ecosystem. At present, even Flamingo design is still undergoing optimization, with questions ranging from how to introduce more external asset type to which Oracle implementation should be integrated for the purple module, as well as the open governance mechanism before the DAO goes live. As such, we welcome all community participants to proactively the initially proposal to further optimize the Flamingo and build a more robust ecosystem. Moving forward, we are also pleased to share with everyone the latest update for the Neo 3. As a new step for the new blockchain, Neo 3 will be a future-proof full-stack blockchain solution made of a decentralized file storage system, the Neo FS, and a DID solution, the Neo ID, as well as a built-in Oracle. As we move closer to the release of the Neo 3, the preview 4, most likely the final preview version before the Neo 3, the test night goes live. We are finishing up on the implementation, the new governance and economic model, which includes a new governance committee and a voting-based incentive mechanism. Those, together with vast new features and improvements in system security and performance, Neo 3 will surely become the ideal, the next generation, the internet infrastructure for mass adoption. We target to invite everyone to experience Neo 3 on the testnet by the end of this year, with Neo 3 the mainnet set to launch in the first quarter of 2021. On the way to the Neo 3, we have some exciting activities planned, which we welcome everyone to join in for a smooth and seamless transition for our current ecosystem. We are developing an early adopt plan for the project and developers, as well as a migration plan to smoothly transfer token and asset. On the other hand, we are also reaching out to the new developers by setting up a developer grant program by the end of this year, while hosting a hackathon for developers interested in trying out and building on the Neo 3. As a project originated in Asia, Neo has always attached great importance to the Japanese market and also kept close contact with it. In March 2019, with the development of the Neo's game ecosystem, we hold the Neo GameCon in Akihabara, Tokyo, with more than 1,000 participants. Japan is the country that set off the digital wave in Asia, and we also became one of the world's leading blockchain markets. Therefore, we are very happy to embrace the Japan market and engage in it under the local regulatory framework. Currently, we have a wide range of developers in Japan who help us to edit the Neo development guide, this book, and help other developers to know the Neo technology. Neo has cooperated with many large enterprises and universities all over the world, such as the Swisscom University of Zurich, the National University of St. Petersburg, and so on. In Japan, we have already cooperated with the Japanese company on the NFT, the DID, and cross-chain technologies. We expect to work with the Japanese enterprise and education institution in future. We will maximize our resource to the Japanese market and provide the support to build the new generation of the digital economy in here. In the end, I want to say, over the past 4 years, we have built a strong foundation for our future success and growth, and it was made possible through our community continued support. With our community at our core, we are confident that together we can build a more open, connected, and efficient world and build the smart economy of tomorrow. I believe the future is here, and it is brighter than ever.
ネオフラミンゴ、視聴いただきました。続いての登壇者はセントラリティ。トークテーマは誰もが利用可能な DeFi の実現へ。セントラリティとムーンステーク社、この両社でですね、明日にもオンラインセミナーを開始いたします。そちらもぜひ皆様ご参加いただければと思います。それではご視聴ください。
So, hello everyone. Thanks heaps for having me present and to talk a little bit about DeFi. My name is Aaron McDonald. I am the co-founder and CEO of Centrality. And as we always do with Centrality, we like to think about the users. So my talk today is going to be about how can we make DeFi available to everyone. DeFi is a really exciting opportunity for us to take huge amount of friction out of the way finance works and to modernize the infrastructure of finance to be compatible with the age of the internet. If you look behind the scenes at a lot of the services that we use in our daily lives in the finance space, there's a lot of hodgepodge, there's a lot of mess, there's lack of transparency, it's hard to innovate, it's expensive to execute, which in the end costs us as consumers. But for DeFi to really take off, we do have to make it available to everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means today and give you some tips and tricks for getting involved and engaged in the DeFi space. So DeFi is exciting. Because it gives us some really cool things. It helps to speed up innovation through increasing competition out in the open and by providing composability. What does that mean? It means if somebody builds something and it's in this open blockchain environment, then someone else can come along and see that and they can build on top of it, or they can connect it to the thing that they're building themselves. So they don't have to build everything all over again. It also means that we can come up with innovative new ways to join different things together that wouldn't have been possible in a world where things sat in separate platforms. So the ability to speed up the pace of innovation is one of the really exciting things about DeFi. The other thing is there's a lot of friction in finance. You can think of all of the different steps that it might take to set up a bank account, for example, versus what it might take to create an account on chain. That's an area of friction, and DeFi gives us the opportunity to remove some friction in the process and to allow things to run smoother, which in the end produces a more efficient system, reduces the cost of those systems, which reduces the cost to us as consumers. And the other thing that DeFi can do is it can make things more accessible and fairer to everyone. Blockchains don't understand where you're from or what your religion is or what color your skin is. And so the opportunity to participate in these open financial systems makes it possible for people who are marginalized or who could be on the fringes of society to get access to the same kinds of services that they're blocked from in the traditional world. So making things fairer for everyone's a really cool outcome as well. But there are risks. It's really important to understand that it's early on. And in this early phase, you're going to see all sorts of new things come out that are exciting and fun. But because it's new, it's risky. And it's important to understand that when you're investing in it and playing around with it. Now, don't let that scare you. Just understand it. And we'll put some tips in the rest of the presentation about how to engage in a way that might lower those risks. But there's three categories of risks in my mind. The first category is technical risks. This is new technology. And despite people's best efforts, sometimes they make mistakes, or sometimes they haven't thought of all of the possible problems that could exist, and so therefore they can't kind of engineer around them. And the only way we find out about these problems sometimes is just through trial and error. And you've seen over the last few years that the technical community grows in their knowledge and understanding of where those risks are, and when they release new products, they don't have the risks that we knew about before, but they might have ones that we don't know about yet. And so as this body of knowledge builds up, the risks will get lower, people will know about more possible vectors or problems, and they'll be fixed. The other thing is there are economic risks. On top of the technical risks, there are new types of economic models or old types of economic models being done in different ways, and those carry risks in themselves. We can see impairment loss has been a really big risk if you look at some of the yield farming projects out there and how that's kind of traveled over the last 6 to 12 months. And those types of economic risks are heightened because some of the controls that might exist in the non-DeFi space don't exist in the DeFi space. And so you have to be really wary of the types of economic risks and know that there are that they exist, and then take a measured approach to how you engage with the systems because of that knowledge. And the third area, which is not really it's not a nice area to talk about, and DeFi seems to, at large, perhaps not ignore, but maybe downplay the risks here. Any system that becomes systemic and important to an economy, regulators start to get interested in. And regulators can sometimes be positive because they bring about some controls that try and help consumers. Sometimes can be negative because their thinking isn't quite up to where the technology is or where the market is, and so they're regulating something they don't understand. Either way, there will be regulation in the DeFi space. And so if you're building in this space, you have to be cognizant of those things. If you're participating in these things, you have to understand that there could be regulatory impacts on the things that you're participating in. But that's what we're here to talk today about, is how can we make DeFi work for everybody? And I think there's some really important things to understand about DeFi in order to get us to the point where we can make it truly scale. And I don't mean the technology scale, but I mean the adoption and usability scale. I think a really cool thing to think about is it's not very decentralized, the D in DeFi, if only a small number of geeks can use it. We need to make this stuff available for the masses to make it truly decentralized, because it's not just about the systems decentralization, it's about participation in a decentralized way. We only have a small number of people participating, then that's a form of centralization in itself. So we have to really understand how we can make this stuff available to everyone and understandable to everyone. It's also not very useful for mass adoption if it's difficult to rely on the economics. I know that there's a lot of LARPing going on and YOLOs and people kind of aping into things, and that's fun, but that doesn't scale to a global economy. People have to pay their rent and pay for their food and kind of their living expenses and want to save for their future. And so the economics of DeFi need to be built in such a way that people can rely on it in their daily lives. And so this kind of wild volatility that we have, it's a feature of the start of the technology and the market and the economy's building, but eventually we need to take some of those risks out, otherwise we're not going to get mainstream people coming into the space. And the last thing is, it's not going to get large numbers of people and users involved if it's not safe. We have to constantly look at how can we make this safer so that when people participate in the DeFi space, they can trust that it's going to work for them as it's intended. And so what I've come up with is a new kind of structure for looking at how we can improve adoption and get more people involved in this space, and I call these the 3S rules. I'll take you through these 3 S's so you can get a little bit of a flavour for the things that we might want to focus on when we're looking at scaling DeFi to mass adoption. The first S in the 3S rules is make it safe, safety. You know, this is all about reducing risk for investors, reducing volatility for new entrants, and making apps safe to interact with. And so I've got some examples here on the right-hand side of things that could help make this space safer for users. If we look at the top, Barnbridge is a new protocol that is looking to take the volatility risk out of investing in digital assets. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you're an investor looking at this, the price is springing wildly up and down, that's a hard thing to put a lot of money into because you might lose a lot of money. And you also might make a lot of money, but some people are conservative and they want to kind of manage that risk. And so what Barnbridge is building is a way to reduce volatility and let people bite as much of the risk curve off as they're comfortable with and as much as their sophistication would allow them to as an investor. And so this will allow lots more capital to come into the DeFi space because more conservative organizations, maybe traditional finance organizations, can start to get a little bite of the upside that's in the crypto and DeFi space without taking the whole risk curve. So Barnbridge is a way to reduce volatility risk, those economic risks we talked about earlier. The next one down is Bridge Neutral. So Bridge Neutral is building insurance products in DeFi. So what is insurance about? It's all about reducing risk. We talked about reducing volatility risk, and now we're talking about reducing other kinds of risks through insurance. So that could be insuring contracts. It could be putting insurance products built into DeFi that are open and more fair to everybody to use. So looking at how we can build types of insurance into the DeFi products to help reduce risk for new investors is a really important step. And Bridge Mutual is doing some cool things in that space. And the last thing you'll see our famous donut here. How can we make it safer to interact with? If you look at how people look at security, go into security in the next slides, one thing that's often missed is that people focus on is the code doing what it says it should do? Well, that's a really important thing. But that's not necessarily the same as safety. So something could execute code really well and do what the audit says it was going to do. That doesn't mean that we've put protections in place to allow those applications to be safe to interact with. Some of the things that you might start to look at as options for improving safety are things like smarter wallets that have permissions about how much money can go in and out at any one time, or which contracts are allowed to interact with other contracts. How can we ensure that there's some kind of vetting process in the way that one protocol interacts with another protocol? And so the Donuts protocol allows us to create these complex and arbitrary sets of permissions to build more safety into the applications on top of the security layer. So look into how can you make your apps safer to interact with. Sometimes that's just in the UI, by making it easier for people to understand what they're doing. And then some of it's deeper in the technology. How can we build protections in the way that these composabilities work so that we can make the application surface or the threat surface smaller as we get more and more sophisticated and large entities into that space. The next S in this is make it simple. So if we can make it simple, then more people will use it. And at the moment, DeFi is a very complicated space for the average person. And so it's important to keep improving education and to allow people to get access to simple ways of explaining how this stuff works. It's important to think about the language that we use in our products. The terms that we use, some of them are complex financial terms that not everyone will understand, and some of them are totally new terms that we need to come up with better ways to help explain those things. And there's lots of good educators out there that are building some really great material in this space, but we need to keep doing this education so that people understand both the benefits of DeFi, like all of those cool things we talked about, making it accessible and low cost and all those sorts of things, but also how it functions. And you can get some pretty complex things happening, which is really cool. But we need to be able to condense those into understandable things that people can use in their everyday life. And the last bit is usability. So really think about UX, and we've seen kind of a growth in people's focus on this space, but definitely still needs some more work. And UX is a really important feature of safety as well. So usability is part of the thing that will make it simple, how can it get into everybody's hands in a really simple way that they can use in their everyday life. And the last thing is secure. You might say this should be first, but this is kind of the obvious thing, which is why I talked about it last. But it's important to think about this as well. If you're working on a project, make sure you get your contracts audited. If you can, get it audited by more than one independent firm. If you're investing in the DeFi space, check to see that the protocols have been audited, and make sure that people who are involved with that process are respected in the industry. DeFi is all about trust minimization, of course, and blockchains are about trust minimization, but it is early days, and so you can look out for some of these things to help you make better decisions. I think the other thing is teams, and we talked about the technology being trust minimization, but there are a lot of anonymous teams out there that kind of put things out and pull rugs. And maybe in the early days, we need to look a little bit harder at the people behind these projects. And if you're prepared to put your reputation on the line behind a project, then that's something that's important to think about in the context of making the decision to invest in something or participate in something. It's another layer that shows that people are committed to doing things well and to taking the time to do them properly. And the last thing is underlying networks can play a big role in making things safe too. So if you look at some of the cool stuff that Cardano is doing about formal verification, that's a really interesting development in the DeFi space, because if you can use this form of verification in the way that you build your software, then you know that it's going to do what it says on the tin. And this can help to reduce the errors that might occur in contracts or potential hacks or those kinds of things. So formal verification is one really cool thing, and that Cardano has been making doing a lot of research on and planning to implement in the way that they bring out smart contracts. The other one I mentioned earlier is what we've been doing with Plug, about building these complex permissions in place. So that you can be very particular about how different applications interact with each other, how users interact with those applications, at what level are they allowed to interact with you. So you can build those kinds of things into the networks that the products are built on top with, and you can build a little bit more inherent security as well. So to summarize, DeFi is a powerful tool to help finance catch up to the age of the internet. We've got all these awesome services and products that we can use on the internet, but the finance world is kind of largely stuck back in the 50s and 60s in terms of the way their architectures and underlying systems come together. DeFi gives us the opportunity to upgrade finance to the internet age and start to provide some of those benefits that the internet offers in terms of openness and democratization, making things fair for everyone out there. And so I'd like to say thanks for having me on. Hopefully you were able to learn something today, and we can all take something from here in terms of how we build our products, or how we interact with the products, to remember the 3 S's: check and work on safety, check and work on security, and lastly, check and work on making it simple. Thank you very much. Cheers and bye.
はい、セントラリティご視聴いただきました。一部音声がですね、非常にハウリングのような形になってしまっているというようなお声をいただきました。大変失礼いたしました。続いての登壇者に移りたいと思います。続いての登壇者は RockX。トークテーマはマイニングで収益を増やす方法です。それではご視聴ください。
Hello, everyone. This is Alex from RockX. I'm the founder and the CEO of RockX. Today, I want to share some of my thoughts about DeFi. But before that, I want to show my thanks to the sponsor of this summit. My topic is DeFi optimize the industry. So today, I will separate my video to several parts. Firstly, I will introduce myself. Secondly, I will introduce RockX. Then I will share my thoughts on the DeFi industry. And finally, at the end, I will introduce how RockX participates in the DeFi industry. So firstly, I will introduce myself right now. My name is Alex Lin, and I finished my PhD degree in financial engineering at the mid of 2013. And after that, I founded RockMiner, which is a Bitcoin mining machine manufacturer at that time. And after that, RockMiner right now has been focusing on the POW mining and one-stop mining investment service since that. So right now, almost 7 years already. Our customers from the whole world, including United States, Singapore, Dubai, India, and also from other countries and regions. So after for more than 5 years in the POW industry, I founded RockX last May with Dong Xinshu, who was the founder and the CEO of Zilliqa. So RockX is based in Singapore. Our whole team in Singapore, but myself is in China. RockMiner is in China. So you can Google RockMiner and RockX with my name, then you can check a lot of the news and reporters about us. RockX is focused on to enable anyone to capitalize on the emerging global asset class of the digital assets and the cryptocurrencies for the best risk-adjusted returns. What it means, so firstly, RockX is also doing the POW mining service from outside of China, which means if anyone who have the US dollar or a Singapore dollar, they can invest into the RockX for POW service. Then RockX will do the one-stop service with the investors combined with RockMiner, because RockMiner is based in Shenzhen in China, nearby Hong Kong. The second most important thing RockX is doing is RockX is a POS platform. We are doing the services to the institutions and also small players who have a lot of the tokens like the Polkadot, Ethereum, IOTX, Solana, Oasis, and also other tokens. We have the public chain to the tools development, for the public chain applications development. We'll cooperate with Oasis Algorand already, and we are coming to cooperate with other public chains too. And RockX also doing the DeFi product development too. So for RockX, we are focusing on one is POS service. Second, we're doing the public chain development, especially the tools applications. Third, we're doing the DeFi product support to the DeFi project. And fourth, we're also doing the POW mining service with outside of Chinese investors. And right now, I will share my thoughts on the DeFi. It will be there are 3 parts. First part, the key contributions of DeFi are what? In my mind, firstly, it added the valuation of stocked funds, which means it's similar as POS. People who have the USDC, DAI, or even the BTC and ETH, what they can do before DeFi coming? They can only do loan and lend in the centralized platforms. But with DeFi, people don't need such kind of the centralized institutions. They can just use the wallet, like a decentralized wallet, MetaMask or other BitPi or other wallets to control the funds, and also they can get the additional value. Second, DeFi also subverted the asset management by decentralization. As I mentioned, people no need to use the centralized exchanges or wallets to manage their funds. The third thing is it's for the DeFi, it will lower the interest, or we can say the cost of the cryptocurrencies in long term, which means before the DeFi coming, we can only loan or lend our funds from the centralized institutions, but we have no negotiation power with them. We can only use what they supplied. But with DeFi, there are decentralized competitions from all the DeFi products and also between the DeFi product and the centralized wallets and exchanges. So the three most important things are what I think DeFi to do the contribution to the whole world. Also, DeFi is not perfect. I think nothing is perfect. There are also some weaknesses of DeFi. I think there should be at least 5. First, it's high barrier for the new beings. I mean, for the new players. I'm in China, and a lot of people nearby me, they even never use DeFi. Why? It not means they do not want to use. They want to get the interest, to want to get the additional value from their asset, but they can't. Why they can't? Because in China, when you want to use MetaMask, you have to know English. Second, you have to use the VPN because of the internet, internet barrier. And also because new beings, they have no knowledge about the such kind of technical things and also the language things. So the barrier is very high, even for the crypto industry people, not just for the fiat people. And the second thing about the technical risk, or we can see bug from the smart contracts. In the past months, we saw a lot of the the hacked things, the technical hack or from the economy hack in the smart contracts, like the Harvest or some other DeFi project. This is also the third weakness is about the economy bug, which means people can use the arbitrage attack from the LP. I mean the pair of the LP tokens they supplied. People who can use the decentralized loan, like the last loan, they can use this very quickly to borrow money and to make the arbitrage. And the third thing is, the fourth thing, and also very important thing is scammers. It's very easy to start and easy to get money. Now, I saw some projects, they can use DeFi. They just use a fake name with a real project, but they can supply the LP on Uniswap or on other DeFi product platform. I saw some people just they deposit the money and want to do the DeFi mining, but actually they get nothing because it's scammers. They just go away, and you have no way to get them. There's the 4 things. The 5 things is also have some connection with the past 4 things. It's about DeFi is centralized, so it's hard to trace the hackers and the thieves. But for the weakness of the DeFi, there are also a lot of opportunities of DeFi. Who can solve those problems? I mean, the issues, or to help DeFi make the world better. The opportunities in DeFi should be several things. Firstly, is about the technical support with the product development. The technical guys, they can use their technology to make the DeFi product better. And also the second thing is the code audit. there are several big code audit in the global world. Also in China, there are 2 famous ones. There are also some in US. But as we see, the code audit cannot solve the economy attack things. So how to make the code audits better is also some chance for the potential opportunities for the people who want to join in the DeFi industry. The third thing is about the option or other derivatives to lower the risk of DeFi product. For instance, the options who can lower or solve the price derivation on the market, and also the insurance, like the WNXM, this project, this can supply the insurance to the DeFi product. And also for the last thing we can do is to supply the basement valuation of the DeFi. This is very hard part, I think. It depends on the technology, also depends on the economy. If people just list a new token about DeFi and without any basement valuation and just supply the LP, supply the high APY, or use just for the farming, it means nothing. And we saw a lot of projects. They did this before this. Before the September, just 2 months ago, a lot of them came out. But when the market cooled down, most of them just run away. And so for the RockX, how does RockX participate in the DeFi product? Firstly, RockX is a technical company, so we are conservative. Firstly, we are focused on the technical things to help the project to do the development and also to help them to design the economy model. Secondly, because RockX is a POS platform, so we can supply the basement valuation of DeFi token by the POS. Like when the Polkadot is ready about running the real public chain, at least the parallel chain started, then we can do something to do the cross chain. And because RockX is a POS platform, we can add the basement valuation when people use those DeFi token, which including the POS tokens together. And also we want to help the DeFi project to supply the solid yield for the investors. Like the project named Stone, RockX helped them to do the technical developing and also the economy model design to help the investors or to help the Stone platform to supply the solid yield to any investors, no matter small ones or the whales. And the third thing RockX want to do is to lower the barrier for people to join in the DeFi ecosystem from the technical side and also from the from the legal side. From the license. We are going to cooperate with the license. For the regulated institutions in the in the traditional world or in the crypto world who have the license to can help people to use the fiat to invest in the DeFi product. And also, RockX want to make a DeFi investment more flexible in future, which means we are going to do something similar as an index, which means people can use their smart ideas or use their experience to make the investments in the DeFi more flexible, because not all people just conservative. Some of them just aggressive. They can burden the higher risk, and also they want to get the higher interest. So we are going to help the product to do more flexible product. And so this is what I want to share with you guys today. And thank you very much. Thanks for everyone.
はい、6X の動画を視聴いただきました。続いての登壇者に移ります。続いての登壇者は Ruby Capital。トークテーマは分散型金融 DeFi 市場動向のクリプトアセットマネジメントについてです。ご視聴ください。
Hello, everyone. It is my great honor to join the Business Blockchain Expo hosted by BINARYSTAR. And my name is Pan Jun. I'm from Ruby Capital. I'm currently in charge of the fund management and business development. Today, my topic will be around the trend of decentralized financial market and crypto asset management. For the record, this is not investment advice or financial advice. First of all, let me share some about Ruby Capital. Ruby Capital is a licensed fund manager based in Singapore, which focus on uncovering the unique investment opportunities arising from the blockchain industry. We are committed to helping the earlier ventures to succeed and excel in the competition. The team of Ruby Capital consists of various experienced professionals in both blockchain and traditional financial markets. We believe by leveraging our expertise and business network in the market, we can further help our ventures to grow and expand. We are continuously expanding our coverage in the verticals of the blockchain space, which covered from the centralized exchange, public protocol, till recent decentralized finance ventures. In early 2020, we have noticed the market hype of the blockchain market shifting to the decentralized finance sector. With reference to the statistics, the total value locked, meaning the capital flowing into the decentralized finance application, has been increasing from the $660 million in January of this year till $12.81 billion as of in November 2020. This representing a 1,900% increase since January. The rapid growth of this sector has drawn our attention. Since then, we have actively joined the projects ranging from the decentralized exchange called DEX, lending development tools, financial derivatives, and crypto asset management. Along the way, we have been engagement with several leading DeFi projects like Ethereum launched by FTX, Defi, Horizontal Finance. In the current DeFi market, we have seen a number of products offering different ways to either track, manage, or hedge exposure through a suite of various DeFi projects in the lending, DEX, and decentralized financial derivatives. And we'd like to also give a DeFi ecosystem overview. The DeFi ecosystem comprises a variety of blockchain-based financial service applications. As we mentioned, from the DEX infrastructure, lending projects, as well as the DeFi asset management. And today, I would like to discuss further with asset management in the decentralized finance market. This is particularly exciting and interesting as the new ways of managing assets is coming into the picture. In the past, we have been in traditional finance world, and we have been exposed to financial products like hedge funds, structured products, saving programs. We are also taught to plan capital allocation per individual risk characteristics and discussion with finance advisors. We have also been pitched by various financial vendors like money managers, fund companies, private investments. The potential of decentralized finance application is upcoming to be realized in DEX, decentralized derivatives, yield aggregations, and how they can be combined to create new asset management solutions for investors shifting from the traditional finance world. Moreover, in the traditional asset management model, financial institutions like BlackRock Asset Management or financial expertise tailor an investment portfolio solution to their clients based on their individual characteristics. This process is controlled by asset management companies, and investors have considerably limited access to their own funds, while fees must be paid to the intermediaries for advisory services with limited transparency. In summary, investors in the traditional finance model have limited independence and autonomy over their own assets, which is also subject to their managers. So that we're excited by the DeFi prospect that crypto asset management has come to reinvent the way of investing. The objective of the DeFi asset management is to make investing more affordable, easier, and more accessible, reducing the need for the managers and eventually to get rid of the intermediary managers. DeFi asset management products are non-custodial and accessed by users' own crypto wallets. Note, those are not exchange wallets, meaning users do not have to share their private keys or transfer funds, but transactions are routed on smart contracts to be finally settled. These services are also automated, including rebalancing, collateralization, and liquidations, which takes place following the product design automatically, but subject to the performance of the underlying protocol. In most cases, under this topic, we are discussing Ethereum-based decentralized finance applications. In addition, the core of the DeFi asset management is a decentralized technology implemented for development, which boosts transparency of the transactions. In the past, the traditional finance world, transparency is somewhat difficult to ascertain due to the non-real-time reporting cycles. Many fund managers only have to publicly display their holdings once a month or once a quarter, and also subject to a 2 to 3 day settlement periods. This means we may not know exact holdings of the manager when we make the investment decisions. In DeFi asset management, we are entitled to the up to the block visibility into the holding of the crypto assets, as well as a performance accordingly for a crypto asset management product. So now we can access to the on-chain data via Etherscan anytime to verify transaction details for Ethereum-based decentralized financial applications. Another exciting aspect of the DeFi asset management services is a composability feature, meaning that investors are given autonomy to build their own portfolio, with more room for personalization around liquidity, income, and growth, but which are also adding barriers for non-sophisticated investors at this moment by being implemented in a decentralized way. The industry is also working to address those barriers of access in the evolving pattern of asset management. The most important part is that all these benefits will be accessible globally. Anyone will be able to manage their investment regardless of locations and time zones. Under this context, we do see increasing need of the compliance regulation in this field to make the healthy development of this industry. I also like to share some notable DeFi asset management projects. Let's say DeFi Zap, or now Zapper.fi. First change the game with the ability to allow users by participating into multiple yield farming pools, layering exposure, returns, and allocations management at a one-stop interface. The users are enabled to exceed the investment and one transaction subject to their choices. There are more incentive programs, yield farming programs being created, and more ways of deriving capital income with or without leverage. Hedging is also applicable subject to the particular service or products. Zapper highlights the address and the need of making the investment process simpler and allow users to participate in the portfolio of multiple tokens while managing their risk losses. Another project will be like RAY, R-A-Y, Robo-Advisor for Yield, has also brought a new form of asset management into the market, which allows users to receive an overall higher return on the general low-risk lending investments by optimizing users' capital allocation among selected lending protocols. RAY allows users to deposit the various classes of stablecoins like DAI, USDC, and even BUSD. Therefore, this will save the currency discrepancy for the users, and especially for the low-risk profile investors, to best market returns over the stablecoin holding. And stablecoins are always a gateway for institutional investor or traditional investor into the crypto world. And currently, RAY offers DAI deposits annual return at 5.4%, USDC deposit annual at 6.2%, and BUSD deposit annual return at around just 1.9%. Another important and milestone project in the DeFi space is Finance, also known as YFI, which I would like to briefly go over. Actually, YEarn is a liquidity aggregator providing automated yield farming strategy through a number of lending protocols. So YFI shifts capital between the top DeFi lending protocols like Compound, AA-Wave, and DYDX, ultimately geared at providing lenders the best return on liquidity. Finance began its operation in February 2020 with another project known as iEarn Finance. Going further, iEarn was rebranded by YEarn by Andrew, the founder. The YEarn soon has a few capabilities added to its Asana. YEarn Finance is a DeFi platform where users can deposit and stake their ERC20 tokens. In return, they receive daily interest. This is made possible by allocating the capital to staking pools, offering best returns across the network. Why was so revolutionary? Before yield farming got mainstream, users had to stake individually with each protocol, having to learn about many projects. Using YEarn project, user didn't have to flip through multiple DeFi sites to get yield farming projects and profits. YEarn solved the problem by integrating many different blockchain protocols. So you only have to stake tokens once with YEarn and to get access to many interest-yielding blockchain protocols. To maximize profits, the YEarn protocol continuously rebalances as yield farming opportunities shift. Another possible sector is about synthetic assets and real-world assets. The growth of protocol like synthetics and UMA are creating the ability to mimic off-chain assets while keeping all management on-chain. This is seen in assets like foreign currencies, oil, and gold that are currently available in synthetic forms on Synthetics platform. Some upcoming DeFi project is looking to use UMA to create a crypto-linked S&P 500 index, which replicates the moments of the fund index to include traditional finance assets, funds, and indexes into the crypto world. Other DeFi projects like the Hedge SETS protocol are working towards a similar objective of linking the real-world securities and commodities within the crypto ecosystem. Synthetic representations will allow investors and fund managers to create exposure, hedges, and diversification across traditional and crypto assets. This can be extended with the relation to security tokens. As more real-world assets are tokenized and placed on-chain, we may see DeFi products that include real estate, hedge fund shares, and private companies. This is like what DMM and Persistence are working on. These assets come with different income and growth mechanisms, which can be further examined and tracked via the transparency of Ethereum. Also, the potential of the mass adoption and bridging the masses. The DeFi asset management projects offers the possible access to those groups not well served by traditional financial institutions for opportunities to conduct investments via crypto-linked products, and also for investors who are looking for more alternative investments via crypto products for capital allocations. In addition, those DeFi asset management projects also eliminate the barriers in the intermediary levels and allowing even simpler investment decisions. For example, if investors prefer to stay more passive and can choose to directly deposit the USDC into the saving projects, now the general yield for USDC deposits is around 3% per annum without any leverage. Also, please note, USDC is a compliant USD-backed crypto with one-to-one fiat-backed support. And the return shall be much higher than the banking deposits and offering much flexibility in redemptions. Moreover, even some small amount of cryptocurrency, like stable coins or Ether, can be investing and growing with the DeFi asset management projects in a trustless, non-custodial, and transparent manner. This is outlining our prospect to the ecosystem. And I would like to also share my thoughts regarding the Japanese market. I think there is always strong potential market for the DeFi asset management. And as some reporting has been conducted in the past, in 2018, per IBINIX, a cryptocurrency exchange software provider, there is a total of 3.5 million active crypto traders in Japan. Around 30 to 50% are retail traders. And approximately this is around half of the global active traders. And the cryptocurrency trading volume originated in Japan takes up to 60% of the global trading volume. According to a report published by The Block in 2019, Japanese market takes around 10% of the total volume of global cryptocurrency trading. We rank at number 2 destination of crypto trading, just behind US, which takes 24.5% of the total trading volume. And per Zengo in 2020, the number of active crypto users in Japan have been witnessing an increase of 30.4% from September 2018 till December 2019. The growth of the Japanese crypto market is expected to continue in the coming years, and DeFi offers another path for the Japanese crypto traders and investors. Why DeFi asset management is good for the Japanese market? We have seen the no interest rate environment continuing as recent 10-year Japanese government bond was offered at 0.03% annual return as of on 27th November 2020. DeFi asset management introduced the new way for managing assets by depositing or investing on the stablecoin basis, rather than the past will be based on the token specifics. Rather than taking an proactive approach in the token trading, this alternative yields a better stable return at around maybe 3 to 5% for USD-backed stablecoins, which are attractive for risk-adjusted yields. This is different like lending. For example, back in October 2020, the Japan's messaging giant has announced to launch the lending services on Bitcoin, BCH, Litecoin, Ripple, and Ether via its subsidiary BitMEX. line lenders will be able to obtain yield off the assets and borrowed for a certain period. However, in this way, for new crypto users, they may need to convert fiat to Bitcoins and Ether first to participate, which has also exposed them to the coin fluctuations. Therefore, the stablecoin deposits within the DeFi asset management projects are much better for new users and getting exposure to the yields. And actually, this is all my sharing today, and I believe this is just the start of the DeFi asset management fields. And we will see much more innovations coming to the picture. And we will also see another edge on how traditional finance companies to integrate with decentralized finance applications and jointly offer hybrid investment solutions. In addition, we'll also like to see regulation compliance coming into the industry and help the DeFi industry to grow further. So thank you, everyone. And this is all about my sharing today. Thanks.
はい、Ruby Capital、視聴いただきました。続いての登壇者は、ジリカリサーチ。トークテーマは、ジリカにとって DeFi はどんな意味を持つかです。それではご視聴ください。
Hello, welcome to a discussion on DeFi. I'm Colin, and I am co-CEO and CCO of Silica, which is a blockchain based in Singapore. It was founded and launched in Singapore, and mainnet went live in January 2019. And we use sharding to create a much faster, more efficient blockchain, as well as having our own programming language called Scylla, which is safe by design. So we focus quite heavily on decentralized activity, decentralized finance, open finance, as we like to call it, as well. I'm very excited to have a discussion today with Lisa Tan, who's from economics design, also in Singapore, who is an expert in a couple of areas, tokenomics specifically, and game theory, which is probably one of the more fun aspects of blockchain science. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, nice. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
It's a pleasure. Now, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is decentralized finance, or DeFi. And we're going to focus on what DeFi means to me, because people do have alternate ways of thinking about what decentralized finance covers and where the focus is. In fact, there's been a lot of headline grabbing tokens and exchanges and vast sums of money which have been flowing into the decentralized finance market. And we'll probably start there, but just at a high level, Lisa, what does DeFi mean to you?
That's a very good question. So I would say that DeFi is really about removing inefficiencies in traditional finance and finding new creative solutions to make finance a bit more efficient, to make finance a bit more inclusive for everyone to participate. What does it mean to you?
Well, to me, it means not having a middleman, really. Having semi-autonomous or consensus-driven exchanges or projects which effectively are not able to be overly influenced by one person or one entity, or even, as Satoshi said famously, bad actors. So we're trying to avoid that sort of behavior in decentralized finance and open it up to mathematics, consensus, and community understanding.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that will be on the technological back end of finance, where everything is automated with machines. And then you have humans being the one making decisions, which is the game theory part. And then you have machines executing them, which is reducing inefficiencies, which is reducing middlemen. One problem that I am noticing right now is that as DeFi continues to be extremely complicated, where you need to have some knowledge in finance, some knowledge in technology, some knowledge in economics, some understanding in math, to really get DeFi, we're actually creating these kind of scenarios where we need middlemen again. because these things are so complicated that you need middlemen to translate the language of finance or the language of technology for regular people to use. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we are trying to avoid being the middleman, but I think we would call it facilitation. And obviously having expertise in the blockchain arena and having the ability to build applications and dApps to our blockchain, we're looking to help businesses to employ the best practices in decentralized finance or decentralized security management for their digital assets and help them into this way of working or this way of running business, which of course is going to become much more dominant in the next 2 to 3 years. This is the Blockchain Business Expo we're talking at. So we're focusing a little bit on how enterprises can work in decentralized finance. But I'm interested in some of the token projects which have hit the headlines recently. SushiSwap obviously was a very interesting project. Uniswap is the grandfather on Ethereum blockchain for most of these DeFi projects. How do you summarize the evolution? How did it take hold so rapidly?
It's a good question. So if we look at a macro view of how it how it has evolved, if you just look at 3 months ago, the total capital in DeFi in general, it's about $7 billion. And today, just 100 days later, it has doubled to 14.5 billion as of right now. So that growth has just sprung almost like out of the blue. And I would say it has evolved into two different areas. The first one is, if you imagine DeFi as a big tree with a lot of different kind of financial assets and financial products available. Previously, in the beginning of the year, we had a lot of the low-hanging fruits, a lot of general exchanges, general lending and borrowing, things that's a lot easier to capitalize and capture the market. Today, this tree has gotten a bit more lush, where you have a lot of other stuff available. You have pretty good insurance coming up, a lot of different types of insurance, different models of insurance, insuring different kind of risks in DeFi. You have derivatives, insane amount of derivatives. You have a lot of different kind of experiments with the same kind of concept of AMMs or decentralized exchanges, but different ways and mechanisms to get the most efficient price for everyone and try to reduce the risks available. So number one, the amount of products and services have boomed amazingly. And the second thing is yield farming. As we all know, in summer 2020, everything is just about yield farming and trying to get as much returns as possible with your crops growing, with your yam token, your sushi token, all the kind of food tokens, and trying to get different types of returns. Although this could be seen as a little bit scammy, but in reality, this is a great way to bootstrap your community, especially when we're talking about decentralized community. We're trying to issue these kind of governance tokens to the users. Previously in 2018, one of the bad things about ICOs is that you're just issuing tokens to these random people who just have capital. And that's quite unfair when we're talking about a decentralized equal future that we want to build. So why, instead of rewarding this kind of issuance or this kind of equity to people who have capital, why don't we start issuing it to users of the system, where they now have ownership and they have actual skin in the game because they actually use these products. And when people feel appreciated and they feel like they are contributing and they're rewarded for contributing to the protocol, they do want to stay in the system. And more people are being attracted into the DeFi ecosystem because of that.
So we do have some jargon which we run across. You did mention AMM. Maybe you could just explain how that works.
Absolutely. So AMM means autonomous market maker, and we see them in a few areas. So the two main areas will be exchanges, decentralized exchanges, and the other type is a portfolio asset management kind of systems. And if you think about, in a very simple term, just think about a big cookie jar with two types of cookies in there. You've got chocolate chip cookies and you've got macadamia nut cookies. What you do is that in the jar, you have a lot of these different amount of chocolate chip cookies and macadamia nut cookies. The beauty of this jar is that you can always put a chocolate chip cookie in to get macadamia cookies out. And this jar will always give you some cookies for every cookie you put in. The cool thing is that with math, you can determine how much macadamia cookies you'll be receiving for every chocolate chip cookie that you put in. And this thing is also it's alive. It's a dynamic system. So it means that the prices of, or the exchange rate of macadamia nut and chocolate chip cookie is not fixed. It always changes based on the total amount of cookies in the jar. So this is a completely new model that we have not seen anywhere in traditional finance. And this takes into this idea, this mechanism concept came from energy conservation that we have in physics. So this is really cool because we're exploring new ways to make finance a lot more efficient by taking concepts that already work in other areas of science. And this is one of the beauty that you have in DeFi.
So lending and borrowing is well understood and highly traditional in the financial services industry. For everyday businesses, are they soon to be looking at different lending, borrowing technologies in the DeFi space? People who provide liquidity in a different way that can be extrapolated from these token pools and then perhaps changed to stable coins, which would be official coins of a country denomination. Is that something that businesses will be looking at in the next couple of years?
Yeah, that's interesting to see it from a business perspective. So from what some people are doing from a business perspective, they're really they're borrowing and lending with crypto because the rates are a bit more flexible. And a couple of months ago, the rates were very, very good, a lot more attractive than whatever that you have in the real world or the physical world or the fiat world. Today, with financial crisis, with economic easing and quantitative easing, that might change a bit. But as the world continues, the economy continues to recover, and crypto is seen as a very attractive alternative, definitely crypto becomes one of these tools available that can be compared with all the other regular tools available. The other thing that's quite interesting, or two other things. The first one is having crypto in the assets as one of these hedges in a company. So for example, there are a lot of listed companies that are increasingly holding Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies, which is a very good boost because that could be hedging with whatever inflation rates is going on, or that could be just bolstering the kind of assets that the company provides or the company keeps. So that's very good. The other way is for companies who have these kind of assets, they can turn it to stablecoin, as you mentioned. So for example, if you have Bitcoin and a company can have Bitcoin in their assets, which helps which is an asset to perform as hedge in the system. And you could use Bitcoin in one of these staking models or putting in one of the lending and borrowing protocols. And then you can be taking stable coins out of it to be using in your daily operations. So now you have exposure to both Bitcoin assets. At the same time, you could be using the exposure that you have in all the other assets in your daily day-to-day operations. So this is something very interesting, and it is in a decentralized ecosystem. So there's more flexibility to be using and playing around with these kind of tools available.
Yes. Now, I'm interested also in the regulatory aspect. Focusing on decentralized finance, there isn't really much for regulators to go after in terms of the people providing these services and using these services. However, obviously in Japan, they've worked hard to build out a regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies, which certainly covers centralized exchanges, among other things. So how does business work with a kind of unregulated environment? What are the things that businesses need to be aware of before they work in decentralized finance?
I guess it really depends on the kind of businesses or the kind of industry the business is in. So for example, if you're a bank and you're a traditional bank, then it's very important to look at the different kind of risks, looking at what are the risk frameworks to understand how to deal with all these cryptocurrencies. Whereas then you have the different kind of companies where you're not dealing with crypto at all. And then to figure out which kind of cryptos or which kind of risk are you willing to take on, and figuring out which assets are applicable to the risk appetite. And if you're in the cryptocurrency or in the crypto space, then it's a lot easier to manage the risk because you're in the space and you're an expert with understanding how to use the crypto to your best advantage.
Currently, Zilliqa is working on HG Exchange, and this is in what is known as the MAS sandbox. It's the Monetary Authority of Singapore's kind of playground for people developing new crypto-related assets and securitizing certain things. Zilliqa is working on some very interesting projects to tokenize private shares, for example, and physical products, which will be made available to the retail market later in December. So we're quite excited to see how this decentralized way of offering previously locked or private value propositions from businesses and enterprises goes into the public primary accredited investor market, and then secondary sales, which are free and unfettered. Do you see this changing the dynamic from centralized securities exchanges, for example?
You brought up a fantastic point, because I think that's exactly where the value add of tokenization can really come in, beyond the yield farming and beyond all these kind of DeFi products, is how can we use tokenization as an on-chain solution, or this innovative way to be resolving off-chain problems. So the tokenization of regular shares, we could do that in digital world, which is good, you know, that's soft. But right now we are looking at new ways of decentralizing that power, of decentralizing that responsibility, and using tokens as a way to incentivize these different kind of bond holders or these different kind of equity holders, which is very interesting. The other value add is really a lot of these big companies and these actual asset offering is always done by big investment banks. They're very expensive. And we go back to the first point of removing intermediaries. This is exactly where tokenization can come in. We remove intermediaries, and for all the markup that intermediaries get, we're now distributing it to all these people who came in and adopt this technology first, and to be adopting this new way of finding solutions and then rewarding these users instead of rewarding intermediaries. That's absolutely brilliant. And that's the true value add in DeFi, because it's about opening access to everyone. You talked about open finance. It's all about opening finance to everyone. Everyone can use them. You don't have to be very specific kind of very smart person. As long as you believe in the project, you can be part of it. You can be part of the equity. You can be part of the governance. That's a wonderful future.
Yes, we're pretty excited. We've seen a couple of projects in Japan, for example, looking at central bank digital currency type creations, not exactly cryptocurrencies, but certainly centrally managed digital currencies. And we've seen a few projects around the world with banks now looking to try and counter what they see as some kind of threat from stablecoins. But there seems to be a place, certainly the guys at the IMF are quite friendly and open about this. There seems to be a place for third-party stablecoins from trusted sources who can back those stablecoins with reserves. And we see, just briefly with our own projects, the XSGD stablecoin, and soon the XIDR stablecoin, and soon the ZBUSD stablecoin, that Zilliqa can create a harmonious stablecoin group that, for example, helps remittance. So maids who are working in Singapore sending stablecoin to stablecoin transactions to Indonesia and saving a tremendous amount on the transmission charges or the commission fees from point to point. So what seems like a really good idea still has some regulatory challenge. How does decentralized finance prove itself to central bankers that it can work complementary to their own systems?
That's a good point. So decentralized CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, are really tied to the idea of putting trust in governance or the government that's issuing that, versus stable coins is a little bit more of putting trust in the system itself. So when we're talking about the creation, the mechanism to create these kind of currencies, it's completely different. And that's where the value add comes from. With central bank digital currencies, it's just the government printing money, which is completely fine. That's how they do it, and it will continuously exist that way. Whereas in stable coins that's issued privately on-chain, they come in a lot of different forms. You have on-chain collaterals, off-chain collaterals, and even algorithmically defined valuation. And these are tools, are innovative tools that are very interesting. And if you want to take a step further, you can even create a basket of goods or a cascade of different kind of currencies to form a general currency that can be used using these kind of mechanisms. So maybe stable coins will not exist for a very long time, or maybe it would. But what we're experimenting over here is the mechanisms that create all these different tools, which is extremely, extremely exciting.
Yes, we are right at the front line of innovation in this space and the creation of currency and the consumption of currency in different forms across huge numbers of people who will not have to go through multiple steps to get to money or to send money anymore. So we're pretty excited. We have our own ZilSwap platform, which is ready. So people are able to create tokens and to manage liquidity pools and to help back the community in developing projects in a way. So we're quite excited about how our community is developing and adapting to decentralized finance and the DEX mechanisms that are being created around the world. And it's looking like our time is up, Lisa. So it's been a pleasure talking to you. Obviously, we could talk all day about decentralized finance and decentralized security asset projects. But for now, we wish everyone at the conference a fantastic day, a fantastic educational experience. And of course, if you need any help, you can always get in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
ジリカリサーチ視聴いただきました。続いての登壇者は、エルフブロックチェーン、Defy ブロックチェーン上最大のアプリです。それではご視聴ください。
Hello everyone, my name is Zhulin Chen. I'm the co-founder and COO of ELF Blockchain Technology. Today, I would like to share with you how ELF, together with Huawei Cloud, can help your organization to capture the new values in the digitalized world. I will first start to talk about how technology has been helping to grow the economy. Throughout the human history, we have seen technology to help people to move around. So that started with cars, airplanes, and ships. And moving forward, we start to see new technology to help information to be created seamlessly and at low cost, and also being transmitted to every single corner of the world. And that has opened up the business of internet. And moving even further into that, finance and fintech companies has been trying even further to make assets and values to move freely and also being exchanged and transacted at a more efficient way. Blockchain is here to help institutions to make assets and values to be exchanged, created, and transacted in a more efficient and secure way. It has a ledger that cannot be hacked, and it records every single transaction. The smart contract allows any transactions to be executed in a predefined way and a transparent way. And the incentive system comes with blockchain, allows companies to even work with customers that they never worked before, and even build an ecosystem that includes more partners and can expand globally. So that is the beauty of blockchain. Blockchain has come a long way for the past 10 years. It first emerged as a single use case called Bitcoin, which is a global money that was created not by any single country or any business entities, but still being accepted and traded by all the people in the world. And moving forward, we start to introduce a new technology on blockchain called smart contract, which is invented by Ethereum. So Ethereum become the programmable global money that allows money to be transacted in even more ways and also can be custodianed without any middleman. And that really opens up to many more possibilities for business, especially for financial institutions. So that's where the third generation of blockchain, such as ELF, is really trying to create an internet of value, where smart contracts can be more generic to fulfill any kinds of business needs. And also, it is future-proof that can allow any institutions to use it at ease. So it really makes blockchain as part of the digitalization journey for institutions. We have seen many use cases that has started with financial institutions, blockchain being one of the key technology enablers to make those things happen. Recently, we have seen the news that a few countries' central banks has started to experiment digital currencies in their own society, such as China and also Singapore government. We have also seen cross-border transactions empowered by blockchain to really make Forex and also money remittance to happen at much cheaper cost. And we're very happy to hear cases like VeloLab is trying to make that happen in Thailand with other countries. And without saying that, there are even more use cases happening on financial services. With so many use cases happening, companies has been leveraging the key features of blockchain to create values. So those are trustless, immutability, and also borderless. Blockchain has replaced the needs of middlemen for any business to happen. So you could work with other institutions or customers without any trust to be built at the very beginning. This is super crucial for high-frequency trading and any financial transactions. The immutability of all the past records recorded on a blockchain also makes it more hack-proof, and people can use it at peace. And the technology itself provides an outreach that companies can provide the service to people in other countries and also can incentivize new partners at every corner of the world. So with these three key features, a lot of companies has been using it to improve the efficiencies of their existing business. For example, blockchain has been driving down the cost of cross-border remittance. But more interestingly, by replacing or getting rid of the middleman, companies has been envisioning a new value chain where they can capture more values or moving up or downwards to work on more stuff. And thirdly, with internet being more prominent in the whole world and our consumers being more and more comfortable of using digital assets and digital identity, it also provides new business opportunities and brand new business models for financial institutions to serve the new digital demographics in the world. And that is definitely the future. So blockchain is really more than a technology. It is part of the journey that helps institutions to go beyond automation and digitalization and move into more of a value-driven business model empowered by blockchain. So it will be part of the grand IT and digital transformation, and it will be one of the core parts. A lot of enterprises has been interested in this, and how can we actually go through the journey? So based on a survey conducted together between ELF and global consultancy Roland Berger, we have interviewed many executives around the world. A lot of them agreed that financial institutions needs to embrace blockchain. And secondly, they also think that they want to take more of a controlled measure to start with something not public, but rather a consortium blockchain And lastly, they also agreed that they're looking for partners not just to provide a future-proof blockchain, but also can help them to explore new applications on top of blockchain. So that's where we are. We're here to introduce ELF as the one-stop solution for your institution to embrace blockchain fully. ELF provides a world-class engineered blockchain that is future-proof. We offer you the product so you do not have to worry about blockchain to be obsolete, and it comes with all the modern technology that suits your institution's need. Secondly, running the blockchain in your institution is as easy as running any cloud applications. We can launch ELF blockchain in your institution within 15 minutes, and you can customize it based on your needs. So your organization fully owns that blockchain. And together with cloud service providers like Huawei, we could scale up the blockchain itself depending on how big your blockchain business is and to serve your customer base. So that provides a cost saving and also a scalability that fits the growth of your business. And along the way, we're offering more and more applications on Huawei Cloud so that you could see how other companies are using blockchain to innovate and serve their customers. And we are happy to help you on that journey. ELF blockchain is one of the most innovative and well-engineered product in the market. We are the first one to introduce parallel processing capability on a blockchain. And that leads to a processing and storage capability that is as efficient as central server, which will make your organization feel painless in using it to serve your customers. We also introduced an innovative cross-chain capability so that your application will not work in silo, but rather being able to work with any other applications available in the market, and you can tap into those customer base as well. ELF blockchain is built with a modular architecture so that it's super easy to maintain and also customize based on your institution's needs. And also, we keep the developer's experience at the core of our mission. So we try to make that as easy as possible and provide all the needed necessary documentations and tools for your technology team to work on. We have been on the front line of setting standards in the industry. We are publishing a standard in digital asset identification at IEEE with a few other well-known institutions. We believe by having a standard in the industry, this will help companies to more easily bring assets onto blockchain. And this will define what data will be needed and how those assets shall be formed on a blockchain. As most companies are moving in their business onto cloud, we build ELF blockchain fully on cloud as well. Launching ELF blockchain on your cloud is painless. You could easily find it on the Huawei Cloud Marketplace and launch it using Huawei Cloud within 15 minutes. So in this way, you don't really feel any pain and rather just launch a new software from Huawei Cloud.
Okay, now let's talk about decentralized finance or DeFi. So why do we need DeFi? This is because cryptocurrencies has been considered as a financial asset by most of the countries in the world right now. And it is one of the most exciting assets in the market. Let's first take a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has a market capitalization of $360 billion. And with a trading volume of 21 billion per day. This is still below gold, but it has surpassed most commodities. Stablecoin, on the other hand, have an even higher daily trading volume at 50 billion USD. And the best part of it, all these cryptocurrencies are still young with merely 10 years history, and innovations are coming day by day. So with the future growth prospect of cryptocurrencies, it is impossible to omit the opportunity to build a financial market and a financial system around it. So that is decentralized finance. Within the past 2 years, we have seen a vibrant trading and lending market. And this helps us to rethink how financial institutions and financial products shall be structured with blockchain. So unlike traditional financial assets, cryptocurrencies are settled and transferred instantly and trustless on blockchain. This makes it an efficient market operating 24/7 and one of the most globally liquid market. To bring even more liquidity into trading, automatic market making introduces a pricing algorithm to offer trade at any time. So Uniswap and Sashimi Swap are all AMM-based exchanges that are fully on blockchain and require no price input from human. The futures and derivatives markets have surpassed the trading volume of spot market and provide traders tools to hedge their positions. With the help of smart contract, structured products can be developed on blockchain and executed efficiently without any human intervention. And let's look at the current world. We are in a world where zero or negative interest rate for fiat has become the norm. Cryptocurrencies offers an attractive value to generate interests. It is quite common to enjoy high single-digit interest rate for fully collateralized Bitcoin lending, and much higher ones for other cryptocurrencies. We are excited to see longer-term loans with fixed interest rate and interest swaps in the future to create a large fixed income market for cryptocurrencies. At Sashimi Swap, we are the first exchange on blockchain to seamlessly utilize idle liquidity in the pool to generate fixed income through a lending protocol, thanks to the composability of DeFi products, and without compromising the efficient pricing on Sashimi Swap. And this makes Sashimi Swap the most capital efficient AMM exchange in DeFi space. So my point here today is that there is huge demand to bring various traditional financial products into DeFi space. In order to capture that opportunity, business leaders need to nurture internal capabilities and understand what infrastructure are needed, such as blockchain custodian, expertise in smart contract development, smart contract security, and market characteristics of blockchain. I strongly believe that the Japanese market has a unique opportunity in the DeFi space. From a demand point of view, Japanese market is an early adopter in Bitcoin and Ethereum. It is a wealthy population searching for reasonable yields and a country where virtual goods are widely accepted. I still remember my first manga and Nintendo games that I play that brings me into the virtual world. So it won't surprise me if Japan issues some of the most valuable virtual goods on blockchain, or we call it non-fungible tokens, and build a financial market around it. From a supply point of view, Japan has well-established financial institutions and a leading financial hub in the world. The financial expertise will help Japan to understand DeFi well and tailor-make products that suits the domestic market. In addition, the regulatory clarity towards major cryptocurrencies in Japan is another big plus to bring confidence into the space. So if you're interested in exploring more about DeFi, please feel free to reach me. And thank you very much for your time today.
続いての登壇者はパリティテクノロジーズ。トークテーマはポルガドット、自由なブロックチェーンです。それではご視聴ください。
Hello, everyone. I'm Yao Qi. Thanks for the conference organizer's invitation. It's a great pleasure for me to share the latest updates from our company and also the project we're working on. I'm the head of engineering at Asia in Parity Technologies. Currently, I'm leading the Asia team for Parity and Polkadot. At Parity, we are building the state-of-the-art blockchain systems and also technologies for Web3. Today, I'm going to share about the latest system we are building on Substrate and Polkadot. So as we all know, back in 2009, Bitcoin was invented by Satoshi Nakamoto, and it was the very first blockchain systems used in the real-world system. And basically for Bitcoin, we all know that we can only use it for peer-to-peer electronic payment. And later on, people and developers want to know what else we can build on top of blockchain. Back in 2014 and 15, Vitalik and Dr. Gavin Wood, they started to think about Ethereum. So basically they want to put and develop some programs running on top of blockchains. And then they invented the smart contracts, or the later on the programming we know very well, Solidity. Then developers can build very interesting decentralized applications like CryptoKitties on top of Ethereum. And back in 2017, as I just mentioned, a lot of interesting dApps were built on top of Ethereum. And this year, in the DeFi craze, as we can see, a lot of interesting DeFi applications like Compound, SX, they are built on top of Ethereum. And these are sort of the real killer applications we can see on top of blockchains. However, with all the strengths and advantage of Ethereum, we also see the disadvantages and shortcomings of Ethereum. For example, the throughput is very low, and it can only process 10 to 15 transactions per second. And meanwhile, once it's congested in the network, the gas fee is super high. For example, early this year, in the DeFi craze, the gas fee can be as high as 500 GV. These all block the developers to build very scalable applications on top blockchains. And meanwhile, due to the limitation of the current smart contract language running on top of Ethereum, the developers couldn't really build a lot of interesting applications on Ethereum to achieve the goal of Web 3.0. At Parity and the Web3 Foundation back in 2017, Dr. Gavin Wood and the other co-founders, they started a project called Polkadot. The vision of Polkadot basically is to provide a very scalable blockchain systems for the blockchain developers. Meanwhile, it can also connect different blockchains to each other and then enable the data and also the digital assets across different chains. So this way, it provides scalability and also interoperabilities for different blockchains and also developers. This way, Polkadot can unleash the potential of developers to build any decentralized applications as they want, as the developer can just build blockchain systems instead of smart contracts for the applications. Then, as we all know, to build a blockchain system is relatively complicated. And we all want a very good and comprehensive blockchain framework to build the applications, and later on, you can use the Polkadot to connect to the other blockchain systems. Why we say the blockchain system is very complicated? As we can see, right, these are the necessary components for blockchain system to build. For example, the database, peer-to-peer network, and also the consensus protocols, plus some of the native logic for state transition. And all these functionalities, basically the developers for blockchain system, they have to build. And for a lot of these modules before Polkadot, they have to reinvent these modules, or they have to borrow some of the logic from Bitcoin or Ethereum, which is not that kind of scalable. Since the goal of Polkadot is to connect different blockchains together, and then we are thinking about like how to really build and provide this comprehensive blockchain framework for all the developers to build chains later on can be connected to Polkadot. And then back in 2018, we started this project called Substrate. Basically, we want Substrate to be the foundation of blockchain innovators. So everyone can use Substrate, this blockchain framework, to build any use cases cheaply and also easily. Substrate is an open source, modular, and extensible framework for building blockchains. And since, as we all know, right, a lot of use cases, we cannot just use smart contracts to build all the functionalities in. Then we need some of the native functionalities from the blockchain itself. Thus, with Substrate, you can just achieve all the goals you want, not directly build these runtime or functionalities or the business logic into the blockchain itself. And as I just mentioned, the Substrate can unleash the potential of developers to build any useful and interesting applications and use cases they want. If we look closely about Substrate, we can see that with Substrate, we provide the maximum control and freedom for developers to build a blockchain system to suit into their use cases. For example, Substrate provides multiple consensus protocols, and the developers can just switch and use the consensus protocol fitted for their system. For example, the POA system for some private and consulting blockchain use cases, or some like more scalable consensus protocol for their public blockchain use cases. Meanwhile, compared to all the existing and the previous smart contract blockchains, for Substrate and Polkadot, we have this hot upgradable functionality. That means we don't need the hard fork, and the developer can just upload their new logic, we call runtime, to the chain, and once most of the stakeholders vote yes, and then the functionality can be merged into the live network seamlessly. And meanwhile, the entire framework is built in Substrate, which is quite secure and also quite reliable. Meanwhile, for a lot of smart contract chains like Ethereum, once we want some off-chain data, we have to build the smart contracts for the Oracle first, and then with some off-chain servers, we collect the data and then push to the Oracle smart contracts. And then the other smart contract can start to use and fetch the data from the Oracle smart contracts, which is not that kind of inconvenient. In Substrate or Polkadot, you can directly fetch the data from the validators on-chain, and then they can process the data and reach the consensus to produce blocks. Meanwhile, Substrate and Polkadot by itself considers the on-chain governance as a very key functionality and feature. So basically, by default, all the Substrate-based chains, they have the very comprehensive on-chain governance framework. That's basically the holders of the stakes, they can just vote for different proposals or motions, and all these executions will be performed on-chain. and you won't need to code and develop everything off-chain and get all the votes off-chain first. And once the conclusion is made, you can push everything on-chain. Here in Substrate or Polkadot, you can do everything on-chain. So as I just mentioned, one of the very key functionality of Substrate and Polkadot is about seamless on-chain upgrades. Previously, we have to do hard fork and ask different manners of validators to agree with the new logic compared to the old logic. And then we decide on a particular day, and then we perform the hard fork. Regarding the longest chain rule, once the longest chain applies the latest and the new logic, then the new functionality can be added into the main chain. Otherwise, the old chain with the supermajority of the computation power or votes from the majority, they will stay as with the old logic. And in Substrate or in Polkadot, we have this seamless upgrade module. So basically, once you want to fix some important security vulnerabilities or change some core rules in the protocol, or you just want to add some new functionalities, you just need to create a proposal with the new runtime or the new logic, upload it to on-chain, and then ask all the different stakeholders and to vote for your proposal. Once everything is working smoothly, and then your proposal can be written into the core functionality of the live network. And then the upgrade is done, all the bugs can be fixed, and the new functionalities can be added into the main chain in the live network. Compared to the previous or the old blockchain system, basically the maintenance costs a lot of trouble and also expenses. In Substrate and Polkadot, so basically you can do everything online and seamlessly, which can reduce a lot of maintenance costs. Okay, once developers and users have these Substrate, and they can build all their use cases using Substrate for their own Substrate-based chains. And then you can connect their Substrate chains to the other chains via Polkadot. So as I just mentioned, right, Polkadot is quite scalable. The main chain itself we call relay chain, and the other chains connected to Polkadot we call parachain. The relay chain itself can achieve like thousands transactions per second. Meanwhile, the other parachains can also achieve over 1,000 transactions per second. In total, as we can see, right, it's over 100,000 transactions per second, which is quite scalable. Meanwhile, all the parachains connected to Polkadot, they can share the same level of security with the main chain, which is already over $5 billion according to the market cap. As you can see, you just need to rent or lease the parachain slot for half a year or 2 years. Then you can enjoy the same level of security with Polkadot. Meanwhile, since all the parachains just handle their own logic separately, so everything can be processed in parallel. As I just mentioned, for the different chains built in Substrate, you can just connect to Polkadot as the parachain once you auction and get the slot for yourself. For the chains built in Substrate, they can relatively easily use some existing module called Cumulus to connect to the Polkadot. For the other chains like Ethereum, they can just build the bridges to some existing parachains and then further connect to the relay chain itself. As you can see in the Polkadot overview, basically for different chains, they have different ways to connect to Polkadot. The standard way that they can just build a smart contract-based chain and then bid a parachain slot and then connect to the parachain, connect to the relay chain. Or they can just compose some block and bid for a block slot from the para-thread pool. And then the para-thread pool will basically merge their bidded block into the relay chain's block. For the other existing chains I just mentioned, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Cosmos, either the community team or ourselves will just build the bridges and help them connect to some of the existing parachains, and later on they can connect to the relay chain. Furthermore, the other parachains can leverage the data or digital assets from the existing parachains. More specifically today, basically for each parachain, the nodes we call collators will collect the block and then compose the blocks into collect the transaction and compose them into a block, and then send to the validators. The validators are randomly assigned by the relay chain to different parachains, and these validators will validate and verify the transaction and the block proposed and collected by the collator. And once all the state transition is correct and the transactions are no issue, the validators will just help to propose the block and then run the consensus, make sure like the blocks from different parachains can be merged into the main chain in Polkadot system. Currently, we have the very global community, not just from the Europe, also from the US and from Asia, like China and Japan. And with all the community projects support, we have the wallets, explorers, and also different use cases like cross-border payment, supply chain finance from all the different teams. And they are trying to build substrate-based chains or even parachains later on connect to Polkadot. With all the 100+ applications and the systems or parachains and teams, we have a very good ecosystem for Substrate and Polkadot. If you want to start to build a blockchain system or a blockchain product application connect to Polkadot, just start to visit our developer website called substrate.dev to learn how to use Substrate to build application systems from the tutorials, videos. Meanwhile, we also have the online IDE in the playground, so you can directly try out the code you build in Substrate in this playground. That's all my presentation. So basically, I share about like we want to build this Polkadot system to solve the problem of scalability and also interoperability. And we hope different developers can start to use Substrate to build their blockchain applications and connect to Polkadot. And together we can build a very broad Web 3.0. Thanks. If you want to connect to us, feel free to add me on Twitter or visit our website. Yeah, thank you very much.